individually, what's pushing this forward already here? And what's holding it back? This was your question yesterday about what are the barriers. But spend a bit of time first thinking about what is pushing this forward. Imagine that this institution is really succeeding in creating or fostering sustainability literate graduates. So the question is, what might that look like? What would success look like? So think about it, not just from your own disciplinary perspective, but if you could help marshal and mobilize the institution to get to work on this in a more considered and focused way, what kind of content would they graduate with? What would they know?
But let me just say thanks, first of all, for doing this. I think this is a very important step. You all know that the President signed the President's commitment on climate change, and a big part of that is an educational component. And with the climate change minor that we recently got approved, and with the work that you folks are doing, that all plays in a very big way. I think we're doing well as an institution on that commitment that the President signed. And I know many institutions are struggling to implement the commitment that they have made. And so I'm really proud of University of Montana for taking the concrete steps that we have and moving forward on it. So the kinds of things that you are working on, to me, get at those three things in a pretty important way. I mean, you are working into your courses the context of climate change and sustainability. You're working at integrating what they do in your course into those bigger questions. And I think you're setting the stage to help those students take action and find their way to putting their education to work in the context of sustainability. So I think this is a really good program in that regard. You may know, and I'm not sure who all is in the room, some of you may even be on this discussion group of design of the undergraduate education, but there's a discussion group going on starting this last spring and into next year about those kinds of components and how we might reconfigure the undergraduate education to meet the needs of our students in the 21st century. But you folks are taking a big step in that direction, and I really appreciate that. I'd be interested in hearing a little bit, I don't know how far into this you are yet, but I'd be interested in hearing a little bit about what kinds of things you've been thinking about and how you've been approaching the workshop in terms of putting these things to work in your particular classes.
Writing professor actually was, hey, let's take the history concept of Black radicalism and tie it to how we can contrast Black radicalism to microcredit. And it was just amazing. And at first, business and econ, even the history professors, this is so far-fetched, and it was amazing.
But it worked?
Well, I think it actually proved to be a helpful exercise in my thinking about the class I'm teaching on Black radicalism, where it will be a helpful way to ask students to compare these dissimilar ideas and use that as a springboard to reconsider what radicalism is. That it's not just a violent overthrow of an existing power structure, but can also be more economically identified projects such as the microenterprise sustainability project.
Is recognizing that we always have to use examples. We always have to use something as the subject to, through which we examine journalism or we're writing. There's always a subject, and oftentimes we just use examples because they're effective and specific, but not necessarily because there's a social engagement component that is a byproduct of it. Even if we may not be teaching them to engage in that way, their research on the subject alone is going to lead them into a place where they're going to be more specific and knowledgeable about a variety of these areas. It's amazing kind of how easy we can be purposeful.
So how did you do it?
The assignment we came up with was to create a custom with recycled materials. So it's something that we have been doing in the department for years, but I never even thought this is sustainable. So that was the eye-opener for me, was to realize how much my discipline is actually sustainable and how much we reuse and recycle. I just never thought about it that way. I thought, well, that's normal, that is always been done, but no, you can actually apply the concept of sustainability and talk about sustainability when we do the assignment.
Frankly, one of the things that I tend to do is to do at least one or two publications which talks about curriculum-related issues in business, specifically with focus on marketing, with some of the things we want to do on sustainability. And I think I'll be cheating off a lot of the ideas that I have developed and learned during this two-day seminar. So I think that in and of itself has actually created a positive incentive for me, because before I walked in here, I would have been at a loss trying to put something together now and thinking, I know at least we have one piece, maybe two, depending on how we can put it.
Yesterday, the faculty were really working around keystone ideas in their courses and how they might be linked to sustainability ideas or concepts. And this morning, I think that we were actually on the on-ramp to your remarks right now, because we were brainstorming. If you look over there, little sticky notes, we were asking what would sustainability literacy look like for a Montana graduate. So now we're jumping to the writ large part of what content or concepts would they have upon exit, what kind of skills and abilities, what kind of habits might they have, or habits of mind. And so we were getting into that water of the integration of skills across courses. And then we got into a discussion of what's pushing this forward, but what's holding it back.